Some cars are just cars, appliances, a way to get from A to B. Then there's the Porsche 911. This isn't transport, it's an icon, a statement, a testament to a stubborn German and his dream. Ferry Porsche wanted to build the ultimate sports car, not just fast, but precise, not just powerful, but balanced. His vision, the 911. Now, some people will go on about the engine in the back. Flawed, they'll cry. Dangerous, they'll wail. Rubbish. Ferry knew what he was doing. He took a crazy idea, rear engine, rear-wheel drive, and made it work, more than work. He made it sing, he made it dance. The 911 wasn't an overnight success. Early on, people scratched their heads. Funny-looking thing. But then they drove it, and the world changed. The way the 911 goes, the way it handles, it gets under your skin. It's addictive. You don't just drive a 911, you experience it. Over the years, the 911 has evolved, gotten faster, sleeker, more refined, but the core, that's always remained. That unmistakable silhouette, the growl of the flat six engine, the feeling that you're strapped to a rocket. But the 911 is more than just performance, it's about heritage. Each generation builds on the last. Refining, improving, but never forgetting its roots. It's a lineage you can trace back through the decades. And that's what makes it special. You're not just buying into a car, you're buying into a story of passion, of engineering brilliance, of sheer driving pleasure. So buckle up, because we're about to go for a ride through the history of the Porsche 911, from its humble beginnings to the technological marvel it is today. We'll talk about the ups and downs, the innovations, the legends. We'll look at the cars that made history and the people who drove them, because the 911 isn't just a car, it's a legend. And legends, well, they deserve to be celebrated. Now, to understand the 911, you've got to understand where it came from. See, Ferry Porsche, he was a clever bloke, but he didn't start with a blank slate. He had the Beetle. Yeah, that Beetle. The people's car. Not exactly known for its sporting prowess, is it? But Ferry, he saw potential. He took that humble Beetle platform, flipped the engine, and got to work. Out came the 356. The 911's older, slightly less glamorous sibling, but you could see the seeds were sown. The 356 was light, nimble, and rear-engined, just like the 911 would be. It was a hit, proving that Porsche was onto something special. But Ferry, he wasn't content. He wanted more. More power, more refinement, more everything. He wanted a true sports car, a Porsche through and through. And so in 1963 at the Frankfurt Motor Show, the world got its first glimpse of something truly remarkable. They called it the 901, sleek, low-slung with those now iconic curves. It was like nothing else on the road, but Peugeot, they kicked up a fuss. Seems they had the trademark on three-digit car names with a 0 in the middle. So Porsche, being the pragmatic bunch they are, simply swapped the 0 for a 1, and just like that, the 911 was born. Little did they know this seemingly insignificant name change would become the stuff of legend. The 911 was a revelation. Its air-cooled, flat-six engine, nestled snugly behind the rear axle, produced a then whopping 130 horsepower. It could hit 60 miles per hour in a shade over 8 seconds. Not blistering by today's standards, but back then it was a proper rocket ship. But the 911's secret weapon wasn't just raw power, it was the way it handled. That rear engine layout, so often criticized, gave it a unique balance. It was agile, responsive, and dare I say, even a little bit tail-happy when you wanted it to be. See, that's the thing about the 911. It demands respect. You can't just jump in and hustle it like a front-wheel drive hatchback. You have to learn its ways, understand its nuances. But once you do, oh boy, it's a rewarding experience. And that engine note, forget about it. That distinctive air-cooled wail is music to the ears of any petrolhead. It's a sound that sends shivers down your spine, a sound that announces your arrival long before you pull up. Now, right from the get-go, Porsche knew the 911 wasn't just a pretty face. Oh no, this was a car born to race. They took it to the track and boy, did it deliver. Hill climbs, rallies, endurance races, you name it, the 911 was there, mixing it up with the best of them, and win it did. Racking up victories and proving to the world that this rear-engined wonder was a force to be reckoned with. But it wasn't just about out-and-out speed. The 911's real strength was its versatility. It could handle anything you threw at it. One day it's conquering the Nürburgring, the next it's tackling the Monte Carlo rally. This racing pedigree, it bled into every single road-going 911. You see, Porsche, they had this philosophy: win on Sunday, sell on Monday. The lessons they learned on the track, they brought them straight to the street. So when you got behind the wheel of a 911, you weren't just driving a car, you were driving a piece of motorsport history. The early 70s saw the 911 really hit its stride. Porsche kept tinkering, kept refining, and in 1973 they unleashed a beast, the 2.7 RS. Now, this wasn't just an evolution, it was a revolution. Lighter, more powerful, and with that iconic ducktail spoiler, it was a homologation special built for one thing: winning. And win it did, dominating touring car championships across the globe. But more than that, the 2.7 RS cemented the 911 status as a true icon. It became the stuff of legend, a poster car for a generation. Even today, it's considered the holy grail by many a Porsche enthusiast. Prices for an original? Let's just say you need deep pockets and then some. The 2.7 RS wasn't just a great car, it was a statement of intent. Porsche was here to stay, and they were taking no prisoners. Now, the 911 had always been about pushing boundaries, but in the mid-70s they did something truly radical. They bolted on a turbocharger. Yes, you heard that right. Turbocharging, a technology then primarily reserved for race cars and diesel trucks, was about to get the 911 treatment. The 911 Turbo, launched in 1975, was a game-changer. With 260 horsepower on tap, it was the fastest production car of its time. 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds. This was supercar territory. And the way it delivered that power, well, let's just say it was an experience. Turbo lag was a very real thing back then. And when that turbo spooled up, hold on tight. The 911 Turbo wasn't for the faint of heart. It was a wild child, a car that demanded respect. But for those brave enough to tame it, it offered an adrenaline rush like no other. Throughout the late 70s and into the 80s, Porsche continued to refine the 911. The G-Series, as it became known, saw numerous updates and improvements. Engines got bigger, brakes got stronger, and handling was further honed. They introduced things like impact bumpers, fuel injection, and even a cabriolet body style. The 911 was growing up, becoming more refined, more livable, but never losing sight of its core DNA. It was still that nimble, engaging sports car, just a bit more comfortable, a bit more polished. The G-Series was a testament to Porsche's commitment to continuous improvement. They weren't content to rest on their laurels. They kept pushing, kept innovating, ensuring the 911 remained at the top of its game. The late 80s were a time of big changes for the Porsche 911. Out went the old G-Series, and in came the 964. This was a proper overhaul. Porsche upped their game. The 964 had new tech like power steering, no more Schwarzenegger arms, and ABS. Yep, that too. Safety was now a priority. The biggest news was under the engine cover. Torsion bars were replaced by coil springs. This transformed the 911's handling. It was more comfortable and forgiving. You could hustle it on a back road, then cruise home. The 964 introduced Tiptronic. It made the 911 more usable every day. By the mid-90s, the automotive landscape was changing. Emissions regulations were tightening, and air-cooled engines were on borrowed time, but Porsche, being Porsche, wasn't going to let go of their beloved flat six without a fight. Enter the 993, the last of the air-cooled 911S. The 993 was a masterpiece. It took everything great about the 911 and turned it up to 11. The styling was an evolution, smoother, more muscular. The interior was a significant step up in terms of quality and refinement. But it was the driving experience that truly set the 993 apart. Porsche refined the rear suspension, making it even more planted, even more communicative. The steering was razor sharp, the brakes were phenomenal, and that air-cooled engine, oh, that engine. It sang a glorious mechanical symphony, a fitting swan song for an era. The 993 Turbo was a particular highlight, with its wide hips, iconic whale-tail spoiler and twin-turbocharged 3.6-litre engine pumping out a then staggering 408 horsepower. It was an absolute weapon. 0 to 60 miles per hour took just over 4 seconds, making it one of the fastest cars on the planet. The year 2000. Y2K had come and gone, leaving the world intact, but the Porsche 911 faced its biggest challenge yet. Emissions regulations ended the air-cooled engine. Enter the water-cooled 996. Change is never easy, and the 996 had its critics. Some missed the air-cooled engine's character, others disliked the headlights, but the 996 was a significant step forward. The new engine was more powerful and efficient. The interior was redesigned for more comfort and a modern feel. The styling was divisive, but the performance undeniable. It was still a proper 911, just more sophisticated. The 996 introduced groundbreaking models like the GT3 and GT2, hardcore track-focused machines that pushed performance boundaries, proving the 911 could still compete. Section 4, the 997, back to its roots. After the somewhat controversial 996, Porsche knew they had to get the next 911 just right, and get it right they did. The 997, launched in 2004, was a return to form for the iconic sports car. It took the best elements of the 996, refined them, and wrapped them in a package that was both familiar and fresh. Gone were the fried egg headlights, replaced by a more classic design that harked back to earlier 911S. The interior was given a further upgrade with higher quality materials and a more driver-focused layout. But it was the driving experience that truly shone. The 997 was a revelation. It was faster, more agile, and more engaging than its predecessor. The steering was telepathic, the brakes were fade-free, and the engine... oh, that engine, it might have been water-cooled, but it still had that unmistakable 911 howl, a sound that sent shivers down your spine. Porsche also continued to push the boundaries of performance with the 997. The GT3 RS 4.0, with its 4-litre naturally aspirated engine producing 500 horsepower, was a masterpiece of engineering. Section 1, the 991, a technological tour de force. Entering the 21st century, the 911 targets supercars. Porsche embraced the challenge, unleashing the 991 in 2011. A technological revolution, longer, lower and wider, aluminum and magnesium construction, active aerodynamics. The base Carrera packed 350 horses, the Carrera S 400. Precision instrument, sharp steering and impeccable handling. Section 2, PDK, shifting gears, redefining expectations. Now let's talk gearboxes. For years, the 911 was all about that manual box. 3 pedals, a stick, and a whole lot of skill. And don't get me wrong, the manual was still brilliant in the 991. But then there was PDK, Porsche's Doppelkupplungsgetriebe. or double-clutch gearbox for you us mere mortals. This thing, it changed the game. Lightning-fast shifts, up or down, seamless power delivery. It was like having a race car driver changing gears for you. Purists might have grumbled, but there was no denying the PDK's brilliance. It made the 991 even faster, even more responsive, and dare I say, even more fun to drive. And the best part, you could still have your fun. Paddle shifters behind the steering wheel let you take control whenever you wanted. It was the best of both worlds. The precision of an automatic with the engagement of a manual. Porsche, they thought of everything. Now, no talk about 911 performance would be complete without mentioning the GT2 RS. This, my friends, was the ultimate expression of a road-going 911. A track weapon disguised as a street car, and in the 991 generation it reached new heights of insanity. Under that massive rear wing lurked a twin-turbocharged 3.8-litre flat six, cranking out an almost unbelievable 700 horsepower. 700! That's more than most supercars. And it was rear-wheel drive, of course, because Porsche likes to keep things interesting. 0 to 60 miles per hour? Try 2.7 seconds. That's quicker than most people can say Porsche Doppelkupplungsgetriebe. And it didn't stop there. Top speed, 211 miles per hour. This thing was an absolute monster, but it wasn't just about straight line speed. The GT2 RS was a handling god. It could corner like it was on rails thanks to its advanced aerodynamics, trick suspension and massive tyres. This was a car that could humble even the most experienced driver. It was a true Widowmaker. Now, the automotive world is changing. Electrification is the name of the game. But Porsche, they're not afraid of a little challenge. They embraced hybrid technology with the 918 Spider, a technological marvel that proved hybrids could be both fast and exciting. But what about the 911? Well, Porsche hasn't gone full electric just yet, but they have introduced hybrid versions of the 992, the latest generation. The 911 Turbo SE Hybrid, for example, combines a twin-turbocharged flat six with an electric motor for a combined output of 670 horsepower. Now, some purists might scoff at the idea of a hybrid 911, but trust me, this thing is still every bit a Porsche. It's fast, it's agile, and it sounds incredible. And who knows, maybe one day we'll see a fully electric 911. But until then, the hybrid models are a tantalizing glimpse into the future of this iconic sports car. So there you have it, the Porsche 911. A car that started life as a crazy idea, a rear-engined oddity that defied convention. But over the decades, it's become a legend, a car that's synonymous with performance, with handling, with driving pleasure. From the early days of the 2.7 RS to the technological tour de force that is the 992, the 911 has always pushed the boundaries. It's a car that's constantly evolving, constantly improving, but never forgetting its roots, and that's what makes it so special. The 911 isn't just a car, it's an icon, a symbol of automotive excellence, a car that's captured the hearts and minds of generations of enthusiasts. And I've got a feeling it's going to be around for many, many years to come. You see, the 911, it's more than just a car, it's a statement, a way of life. People, they get obsessed with this thing, they collect them, they race them, they spend their life savings on them, and I get it, I really do. There's something about the 911 that gets under your skin. Maybe it's the history, the heritage, maybe it's the way it drives, that perfect balance of power and precision, or maybe it's just the way it looks, that iconic shape, those curves. It's just pure automotive pornography. Whatever it is, the 911 has this aura about it. It's a car that commands respect, even from people who don't know a flat six from a hole in the ground. You see one on the road, you can't help but stare. It's just got that presence. Now Porsche, they could have gone in a different direction. They could have built SUVs and crossovers and all that sensible stuff. And don't get me wrong, they make a pretty good Cayenne. but they never forgot about the 911. It's the heart and soul of the company, the car that started it all. And they've stayed true to that. Through all the changes, all the technological advancements, the 911 has always remained a 911. That's what's so remarkable about it. It's a car that's constantly evolving, yet it never loses sight of its roots. It's a testament to the vision of Ferry Porsche and to the dedication of the engineers and designers who've kept his dream alive all these years. So, what does the future hold for the Porsche 911? Well, if history is anything to go by, it's going to be pretty damn exciting. Electric power? Sure, why not? Autonomous driving? Maybe, but hopefully not. One thing's for sure, the 911 will continue to evolve. It has to. The automotive world is changing faster than ever before. But I've got a feeling that whatever Porsche comes up with, it'll be brilliant. They'll find a way to keep the soul of the 911 alive, even as they embrace new technologies and new ideas. Because that's what Porsche does. They innovate, they push boundaries, but they never forget what makes their cars special. So here's to the next 60 years of the Porsche 911. May it continue to thrill, inspire, and occasionally terrify us for generations to come.